How's everybody doing? Good. Who's ready for an eye-popping demo? Yeah? Is there some excitement? Just blow your socks off? All right, Mark, we've set the bar kind of high, so hopefully the demo gremlins don't get to us. But I wanted to give some context. You've heard a lot about some of the solutions that we've worked on today, some of the technologies that are coming into the market. And I have the honor for the last 2 years of directing our professional services group. And as many of you know or have worked with us, they're some of the best engineers in the country. And we implement some very interesting products. Working in professional services, we get the opportunity to see new technology, see it come into the market, see it grow out of nothing. We get the opportunity to work with new partners that are spearheading that technology. And for all intensive purposes, in professional services, we are the proving grounds of making that technology work for our customers. And for our customers, it's scary. It's scary sometimes. We heard earlier about Nick's journey of adopting new technology, lessons learned, and to quote one of my salesmen, you don't know what you don't know. And it's true. Sometimes the devil is in the details. And that's where it's exciting for us because on a daily basis, we are dealing with the unknown and helping our customers extract that value out of the technology and apply it to their business. So that is actually one of the challenges is new technology is coming into the market. It's unproven, trying to find people that have the appropriate need, and that need is high enough. It's quite literally like living in the eye of a hurricane sometimes, where if you're right in the middle, it's calm. But if you're a little bit to the left or a little bit to the right, it can be a very, very tumultuous experience. So I'd like to talk to you and demonstrate through a case study that we had about the new technology that's coming in today, finding an appropriate solution that provides a lot of value to our customers. One of the things that my CEO says is, what do I get when I write that big fat check, right? So we're going to demonstrate through a case study with one of our clients, an education provider called Devry. And Devry is a very interesting business case for us because they came to us with a very interesting problem. And with many interesting problems come very interesting solutions. Anyone know Devry or any of the other education providers? Yes? Okay. So they came to us with an interesting problem, and that problem was they have a multimedia division. And those students require very powerful desktops to run their applications. They run the Adobe suites, they run the Autodesk suites that are very media rich. And the issue that they were running into is these students that are coming in, and it's a new generation of students, they are required to purchase a very, very powerful PC. These PCs cost maybe upwards of $2,000. They have dedicated graphics processors in order to do the class. So what would happen is these students would come in, they would sign up for the class, they'd realize that there's this large capital purchase that they have to make, and then they would drop the class, and they would find another class to do. So attrition in the class was very high. And for Devry, it was very important for them to be able to maintain those students or provide services to those students. So what they needed is they needed a solution that was cost effective, could provide a high-end desktop-like experience, and and this was the major caveat, these new students that were coming into the universities, they didn't necessarily have hardware or laptops, or they had already purchased an iPad or some sort of MacBook, and they didn't want to make an additional purchase. So we wanted to be able to provide that high-end desktop experience for these applications so they could do their learning, but provide it on something that might not necessarily be capable of running it locally. So you've heard in a previous conversation about the new technology of virtual desktop infrastructure. How many people know about VDI today? Yeah, okay. So we've talked about it for a couple years, and we've seen this, this technology start to mature. And there's some very interesting use cases and a lot of value that we can get when we're able to put this technology in. So what we proposed in using was actually a high-end virtualized desktop for them. It had a dedicated graphics processor in it, and it ran out in the cloud. We actually are running the infrastructure for them on the RKON virtual infrastructure, their RKON cloud. And they were happy and kind enough to let us borrow it back from them to show it today. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to talk to you and start the demonstration with logging into that, that desktop, and then I'm going to pass it over to my colleague, Mark, to show some of the other technologies that are involved with deploying this solution. Everybody hear me? Okay. So, much like Nick, we are leveraging a Citrix backend technology. One of the key needs that the clients had was ease of use. So they wanted to be able to maybe use just a web browser to go ahead and go to a single URL and go ahead and log in. They also had another unique need is they needed to be able to merge this infrastructure with their current infrastructure. So to be able to use their own logins, to use and leverage their own Active Directory. So there was some very interesting, and there is, I should note, this is an ongoing project, and this is actually their prototype environment. So it's interesting some of the things that we've been learning together as far as how to address security, how to address sandboxing, and then again, the ultimate need was to provide an ease of experience for the end user. So what we've done is we've actually provided them dedicated virtual desktops in the cloud, dedicated processors and very, very beefy back-end units. These units, these virtual desk VDIs have 4 gigs of RAM, multiple processors, and an NVIDIA card that's assigned to it. Another thing that I'd like to note is we're providing this demo on the existing Arlington network. And for those of you that have either gotten onto it or used it, it's a shared T1. So another one of the things that we wanted to highlight today is VDI, right? Virtual cloud infrastructure. And then also the mobility initiative that's out there today. Is you see people that are connecting over Verizon networks. LTE is out now. They're connecting over the cellular networks. They're connecting from home. We want to be able to show a good user experience, but a ubiquity, a ubiquity in being able to access it from different areas. So I put this in a window. This actually could be fleshed out and take the entire screen real estate, but we're providing them a Windows 7 desktop. So it's got dedicated processors, and then it's got a myriad of applications that are pertinent for the students to learn with. These are very, very high intensive applications. The one that I'm going to show you a demo of actually is something called Maya. Anyone familiar with Maya? So it's actually an animation system and program. It's probably one of the most demanding applications that are out there. So how do we get something like this to actually work? Again, we work very, very closely with our development partners. We work very closely with Citrix and the new GPU pass-through technology that they've got. We work with NVIDIA to provide the dedicated GPU and now the shared GPU processing capabilities. We've worked with Microsoft actually to tune the VDI environment and then also allow licensing for Windows 7. So there's a lot of very, very interesting things from a technology standpoint that, again, Nick had alluded to, where we are working closely with the customer to provide these solutions. Because if they all don't marry appropriately, they don't provide that full client solution, and ultimately it doesn't provide a lot of value. So as you can see, this is a very, very complex program, and I don't pretend to understand how to use it, which of course is why Devry would be teaching me how to use it. But you can do grids, modeling, I can do deformations, I can spin this stuff around. There's also a rendering engine that allows me to actually build out, and I won't do it right now, but I can build out QuickTime movies and things like that. So this is a very, very intensive application. It will not run without a GPU. It actually, the application will look and see if a graphics card is associated with it, and it won't work unless it's resident. And as you can see, the responsiveness, so forth, is very, very good, right? So one of the things is we need to be able to provide a very high definition environment for them. And we've accomplished that. Ease of use, we've been able to accomplish that. The second two pieces as part of the demo that were a little trickier and actually create a lot of splash is being able to provide the mobility and then provide device ubiquity. So I'm going to introduce Mark to show you that, show you some of the devices that are actually coming to market. This one I think we ordered this week. It's based on the Android system. Again, so just to recap, this is a Windows PC. It's a $600 PC. It doesn't have a dedicated graphics processor. It's running a small piece of software called the Citrix receiver. It allows us to connect to the RKON cloud, which is out in the infrastructure, dedicated pipes. I'm doing this over a fairly latent, slow connection, which I'm sharing with all of you today through the Arlington Wireless Network. So.
Yeah, so as Cameron alluded to, I don't know, have any of you guys seen these little devices yet? They come on PCs on a stick. They're really running the, I don't talk very loud, sorry. Okay. Yeah, they're actually called PCs, but they actually run the Android operating system. And they started coming out with these maybe, well, they started talking about it maybe a year ago. And I had signed up for an early release of one, which still hasn't released. So we were scrambling around, and I ordered this about a week and a half ago, and it showed up in our office just this week on Tuesday. So we haven't had too much time to play with it. But most people that order these, what they're doing with them is it plugs into an HDMI port basically on your TV set. So what most people are using them for is either to find an easy way to get Netflix or Hulu on their TV set without having to have a smart TV or things like that. Of course, I have a warped mind for technology, so I'm not thinking about that. I was thinking about this would be kind of a cool device for remote users who are going to hotels. All the new hotels all have LCD monitors. They're all HDMI enabled. Basically, you put this in your pocket, and you could go. The other kind of interesting use case would be for a disaster recovery scenario, where potentially you have users who work at home. So you always kind of run into the issue with work-at-home users of, you know, if you're going to use their PC, and now you're putting software on their PC, and we all know that as soon as you do that, anything that ever breaks on their home PC is now your problem, and you own it, and you really don't want to, you know, kind of open up that can of worms. So basically, this thing is about 60 bucks. You could add more memory into it. It's got 2 USB ports on it. So I was kind of thinking this would be kind of a cool, you know, you could almost equip your users with this for a $60 investment. They could plug it into their home TV, PC that's got HDMI, whatever. And in a DR, since it is Android, there is a receiver on here for Citrix, so we could run the full Zen desktop or Zen app suite. The only caveat is obviously you have to have a keyboard, or you could use the on-screen keyboard, but you know most people are not going to want to do heavy stuff with the on-screen keyboard. But even the keyboards, I mean, I've seen ones that they make out of silicone now that roll up, basically, and they've got those little ones that are a keychain that flash out a hologram. So, I mean, you could even get pretty creative with the keyboard and make both of these a pretty small thing. So I'm going to fly a little bit here without a net. I wanted to show you the device. I didn't plug it in yet. I know there's a little bit of a glare on this TV, but I'm not tall enough to use any of the HDMI ports on that one, so they gave me a height-sufficient one. So, yeah, I was sitting in the back. I know there's kind of glare. Hopefully when it comes on. So basically they give you a little HDMI cable. So this is just plugged in the HDMI port on the back side. So I'm going to plug her in, and 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 so I'm going to plug her It does need power. Some of them I did see will draw off of the USB port. And to make it a little bit more fun, I figured we're not going to use Arlington's network. I'm going to use this little MiFi, which Cameron seems worried about now. But so this is a Sprint device. It's hopefully giving me 4G right now. It's telling me it is, but we'll see. So we should be able to fire that up. It should we should see it pop up pretty soon. And then what you do is, since it's got the 2 USB ports, basically I put the little Bluetooth piece on there, and we were out here testing yesterday. I was like way in the back row, and it was actually working, so we were good. Make sure the TV's on. Like nobody touched my ports, right? There we go. Okay. It's getting worried already. No screen. Okay, so you can see it brings up the Android. I'm going to plug this in because otherwise it thinks it should be booting off of it and gets a little confused. So basically I have a large keyboard here, but this Bluetooth keyboard was like 29 bucks and the device was 66. So I got like a whole solution for like under $100, which I think is pretty cost feasible. I'm going to sit down so I don't block everybody's view. But basically, as you can see, this is a full Android. So if we want to play if we want to play Angry Birds on here, we can. But I'm going to launch the receiver right now, and it is configured. So we'll log on. We do see the same desktop that Cameron ran, which is the GPU assisted one, correct? Correct. So we will launch that. I'll type in the super secret password, which I hope nobody changed. And if we're lucky, I'm not sure what happens to the camera's display, but we should take over. If I have to click on it, I'm sorry. Oh. And did I type the password wrong? Let me see. Okay, so the easy part I can't do, which is log in. Okay. Shift. Okay, that looks a little bit better. Okay, that's better. Yeah, I should practice not breathing into it, but okay, as you can see, this is also a feature of Zen app and Zen desktop. It's called this smooth roaming. So this is one of the things hospitals actually like, as as the doctors move from one workstation to the next one, it'll actually pick up where they were logged in at the previous workstation. So a lot of times when they're on the floors, they just use the shared PCs. And
just a quick comment. One thing that I wanted to talk about, and I'll show a little bit more of, is the mobility feature. Is when that popped up originally, you saw the screen as it would look in a Windows 7 environment, and then you saw it kind of flip, right? That's something that we could push down with policy, but I wanted to leave it on to show you that it actually recognized that that was a mobile device.
I put it back up.
And it changed the interface to make it easier for a person to work with a mobile device. So when it went to that mode, it gave you just the kind of single-click touch screen functionality and feature set. Also on the left-hand side, you see in the upper left-hand corner, there's a start bar. And it has things like your My Documents, the redirected folders, things like that. So it actually realized what type of device was connecting. And again, this is going over Mark's Wi-Fi, MiFi. You can change that back, of course, to a Windows 7 experience. But that's one of the things that we learned in professional services is, wow, we can deliver a Windows 7 desktop on your phone, and no one would want to use it. Right? Because you're like this, trying to open up your Excel and send an email, and it was very frustrating. So technology has evolved. The user interface has evolved. I'll show you some gesturing that's actually available with the touchscreen technology that's built into the receiver. So please.
Yeah, so I'll just put it back and just show you that we did actually take over the desktop that Cameron was running. It's hidden behind that skin. Like Cameron, I am not my well, I won't even say wizard. I'm not anything with Maya. So I just really was just kind of a proof of concept. I wanted to show you the technology. I wanted to show you some of the capabilities. But again, this is probably one of the hardest and worst applications you could ever even think of running on a VDI environment, because it is very graphics intensive and using a lot of the new GPU pass-through technologies of Zen Server and Zen Desktop. So with that, I think I'll give it back to Cameron and let him take over this stuff. Sure.
Yes.
It's actually leveraging the GPU cards at our data center in the cloud. So there's one in the server, and with Zen Server, which is the hypervisor, works in tandem with Zen App and Zen Desktop to pass through the desktop and let it use the GPU. So it is leveraging the GPU. Yeah. Yeah, yes. We actually were going to show that too, and just because of the MiFi is a little spotty with the latency, it wasn't. It was actually pretty good, but when we do it in the office, it's pretty much like you're there watching the movie. There's, it's pretty good. We actually even had a video of a racing game. Yeah, I was dancing to Tile Cruise. It was actually a little scary to watch. Yeah, so if anybody has any questions, I'll be around with you if you guys want to look at the device, or if you could grab a monitor back there if you guys want to play with it.
Good. And again, I want this to be interactive. I'm actually going to walk around with the device so people get a little bit better feel for it. And please, questions are welcome. So what we've seen here is we've seen some very interesting key technologies. Again, this is all being delivered in the cloud. So whether this is a cloud that you build for your corporation, or this is a cloud that you decide to ultimately outsource, the technology exists today and it can be implemented for a solution for your business. One of the interesting case studies for Devry is they already had gone through some of their data center consolidation. They'd already made some capital investment. And the nature of their business, specifically around trying to find new students and get them to take these classes, is a very, very I won't say it's a risky cost model, but they need to be able to build it in order for them to come, right? So what they were looking for is they were looking for something that was on demand and a very clear cost model. One of the things that we've done in the professional services organization is to, one, reduce the risk of adoption of new technology, right? We've shown it and it worked, knock on wood, right? Number two is we're actually able to work with the vendors, we're able to work with the customers and define a very, very clear cost model for acquisition, right? So whether it's a capital cost or ultimately it becomes an operational cost, we can give additional options now to our customers. And that's one of the very, very interesting things that have come with the cloud. Not that it's some new technology, but it has provided a way to have a company look at an operational or what may have been a capital expense and move it to an operational expense and take on the adoption of that in a very, very easy way, right? So when we were looking at Devry, they wanted to say, well, I don't know, I could have 200 desktops, but do I build it for 200 or can I pay as I grow? And we were able to, through the leveraging of our cloud, provide a very, very linear cost model for them so they could go buy 5 desktops. And then if they got 20, we could burst up to 20. And if this was a very, very popular class, we could go ahead and burst up to 100 or 200. And that's where you're going to see a lot of this technology start to evolve to. And you're seeing it now with backup on demand, DR on demand, desktops on demand. So I'm going to relinquish my microphone for a moment, and I'm going to pull out my iPad, and I'm going to take this down to my iPad and just give you a quick demonstration of that. And then if we have any additional questions, great. If not, I think I'm going to be out of time. Good? So who has an iPad? Okay. I think they sold them. I mean, we have these. Okay. Again, this is the receiver technology, right? It allows me to actually connect to different types of clouds as well. So as you can see on the left-hand side, I've got the RKON's cloud, I've got the Devry's cloud that we've connected to, and I've got some lab clouds that we use for demonstration purposes. And so for this one specifically, it was the Devry desktop. And Again, authentication and security is a big deal in the space today on mobile devices. Being able to provide them in their own sandbox from the network. Treat this media as a completely untrusted device. So to bring your own device initiative is real, it is working. There are solutions out there that we can deliver this today. So I'm going to attempt to put in the password. And just to make this really, really difficult, I decided to turn on the hotspot on my phone to see if I could actually get 3G on my cellular network and connect to it. And as you can see, the desktop has come up. I have a GPU assist. And I can go ahead and I can click on it. And if all goes well, I should be able to pull off of this device and bring it right down to this device. Again, this is a touchpad. Whether you have an Amazon's Kindle, or you have an Android, or you have a typical, I believe the new Windows Surface is up, you can go ahead and have your apps in them too. Right. And the interesting thing here is you actually gain the functionality of an iOS. So let's say I want to go ahead and do this to the screen. I want to do this to the screen. Right. I have actual touch control now. And if I want to do things like gestures, I can bring up the keyboard. Or go down the keyboard. I can go ahead and snap to view. And then let's say I wanted to switch between applications. Let's say I had Word up. I could go ahead and I could go to that as well. So again, leveraging the technology for the appropriate device and being able to do it in a cost-effective way is some of the things that we're doing today. I thank you for your time. I believe there was one more question.
A quick question on the gestures.
Yes.
Is that just a client upgrade, or does the back-end server have to be upgraded too?
You know, it's interesting that you say that. There's actually two pieces to the technology. There is client functionality that's built in here, so you don't need to do anything on the back end.
For gestures?
That's correct. What you saw when Mark connected, where it actually flipped the screen, that was actually a little piece of software there that was put on that side as well, and it will actually communicate directly with that. One thing that I didn't touch on that you can grab me afterwards is this is great when we talk about applications and people ask, well, what about my data? How do I synchronize my data and have my data where I want it as well? So Citrix has a technology called ShareFile that allows you to have your data on the cloud. Perhaps you've heard of other vendors like Dropbox or Box.net. So that's when we put a little bit of client technology inside the data center as well, and it will actually do replication. You can put data and replicate it actually resident on this device, which I don't see a lot of just because it's still new and security concerns. But it does allow you to move from desktop to desktop and cloud to cloud and still have your data as well. So I hope I answered your question. If you want to see more of this technology, we are more than happy to demonstrate it. I thank Devry for giving us the opportunity to put it in a business context for you. And if you want a private demonstration or a POC of your own little cloud to play around with, you absolutely can talk to us afterwards. So thank you for your time.